Hi, and welcome back to Thinking Kingdom Thoughts. I'm Tracie, and today's show is about birthing and breastfeeding. Thank you for coming. Today's guest is Nina. She's a wife and singer for Grafted Church and the mother of 4 cute babies, I'm telling you. Also, she is, let's see, whoops, I'm sorry. I fumbled on my words here and I apologize for that. But Nina, would you lead us out in prayer?
Yes.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for today, and thank you for my friend Tracie, Father, and for this show, Father. I ask that you guide my words and that nothing comes out of my mouth that is not of you, Father. I ask that you bless this show, Father, and I ask that you just make everything so wonderful with Tracie, Father, and her husband, Mike. We thank you in the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so how long has your walk been with y'all?
Well, I can never put it like an exact age.
Uh-huh.
It's just I would probably say like the very first time was probably when I was a teenager. I can't remember. I was 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
And I had just had a fight with my mom, and somehow I ended up, I think, scripture or something. I was in my room on the floor, and I had asked Yeshua in my heart, or Jesus at the time in my heart, and I remember coming downstairs. My mom was like, "Something's changed in your eyes." So that's like the first time. But growing up, I lived a very confused life. I was very confused.
Yeah.
And I was always like, oh, I don't know if I'm saved. I don't know what's going on. And
yeah.
So
I went through that too. And whenever I would see a TV evangelist doing the altar call, basically, I would pray the prayer over and over again.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I just wanted to make sure that it was for real.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so afraid that I was doing some kind of hidden sin that, I wanted to be forgiven for that as well, and just keeping things fresh with the Father. So,
yeah.
But that was a little bit of confusion for me too.
Yeah.
Just to continually have to keep asking Him.
Well, yeah, I had, my biological father was a youth pastor. So I got drugged at like 8 and 9 years old. I got drugged to like youth plays, the kind that kids would die in, and then they like heaven hell things. So I got dragged along for those rides, and that just put me in a confused state of mind and always fearful of, what's gonna happen to me? Like,
am I gonna die? Yeah, that's scary.
So I lived a very confused mind most of the time. I was always saying those prayers.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell off the wagon here and there as I got to young age, and then I just kind of kept keeping, and it's like, God will forgive me sinning, and God will forgive me. Very dangerous mindset to be in.
Yeah.
And if I could go back now, I would completely change everything.
Oh yeah, we would all love to do that, wouldn't we? We certainly would. So what's your kingdom thought during difficult times?
Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path.
Wow, that is beautiful. I love that.
That was like
that's beautiful.
22 or 20, early 20s. I was like, I had gotten out of a relationship with somebody, and I had been doing some bad things, and it just kind of, the relationship went sour, and I was just like, okay, God, I just need a verse to live by, and that's the one that I had.
Man, that is beautiful.
So it would be trust Yah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And it is sometimes beyond any human understanding, for sure.
Yep.
How did you get started with Torah observance?
God pricked my heart about things being wrong about Christmas of 2013. Isaac was about 6 months old. And I was in the shower. I remember I was in the shower and I had my phone playing that Silver and Gold from that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah.
So, and it just kind of twinged like silver and gold. Just something. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something was just didn't set right with me. And I had heard that song. I love that song.
Yeah.
And I remember Scott has a friend and he was a pastor, so like Scott asked questions about it and we kind of got the answer question, got it settled what we thought.
Yeah.
Until the next Christmas. And it was 2014 and it was that same thing just kind of pricked me again.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I had already been in talks with my mom a little bit.
Yeah.
On the phone about just stuff she'd been hearing and reading and watching and stuff like that. So that answer from my husband's friend was not settling anymore. And we still did Christmas that year. We did, and then as the next year came, it was like the spring feast were starting up and, or getting ready to start up. And my mom was talking to me all the time on the phone of what was going on. At the church we were going to, she'd sit behind me. And I remember turning around one time and looking at her and she had a head covering on and it freaked me out. Like I turned around and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go forward. And I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
My mom's gone Jewish. So I just kind of freaked out. I don't think I even asked her about what was going on. It was just, okay. And I kept talking to her and stuff and she'd show me just kind of basics of like the holidays we celebrate and stuff. And it just made sense to me. Everything made sense.
Yeah.
And it was just, there were always questions in my mind about, they always tell you like your loved ones are looking down from heaven.
Right.
And I'm sitting here going, but they said no tears in heaven. So like, if they're looking down on you and they see you doing really bad things and bad life choices, that would make them sad.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't add up, but I always put that on the back burner because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And just things like that. And but everything my mom was saying was making perfect sense. I'm like, of course. Like this is just, and I just started going with my mom to the home, the Lex and Amanda's home fellowship, and I started going, and it just kind of from there.
Wow, that's nice. Have you found any breastfeeding scriptures in the Bible?
Actually, yes. I'm gonna look them up here. Like I have them marked.
Oh, good. We love scripture here, don't we?
Yep. Let's see. Well, in Genesis 21:7. Where Abraham was talking about Abraham and Isaac. It says, Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. And she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have bore him a son in his old age. So there's one example of it talking about nursing.
I never even thought of that scripture. I hadn't even thought of that.
Exodus 2:7 through 10. This is when Moses was born. It said, when Miriam comes up and to the Pharaoh because he's 3 months old or something like that, and so she says, then his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call you a nurse from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. So the girl went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages. So the woman took the child and nursed him. When the child grew older, she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses because she said, I drew him out of water.
Oh.
So
I like that one.
So they had that was pretty much the only thing they had was nursing. Nursing.
Yeah.
There was there's this part in Matthew, like New Testament, Matthew 24, 19 and 20. It talks about even in the when Yeshua comes back, it's talking about, and alas, for women who are pregnant and those who are nursing infants in those days, prayer flight is not in winter or the Sabbath.
Right.
So
I did remember that one. That's, oh my.
When Yeshua is talking, there was a lady in Luke 11:27 who said, and he said, after he said these things, a woman in the crowd raised her voice and said to him, "Blessed is the womb that bore you and the breast at which you nursed." But he said, "Blessed rather are those who hear the word of God and keep it."
Yeah.
So, I did find something very interesting. That when it comes to breastfeeding in scripture, it could be, we always say that the womb is a blessing.
Yeah.
Like when you bear children, it's a blessing, and it's usually a curse when you don't.
Right.
And I found 2 instances where it even said that nursing was, that if you nursed, it was a blessing.
Yeah.
And if you, like, dry breast was a curse.
Yeah.
It could be used as a curse.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that people who that don't nurse or think they can't nurse or is cursed. I'm not saying that, because I had 2 babies who were bottle fed.
Yeah.
But it's a misinformation being poured out to women these days.
Yeah.
That is causing women to believe they can't, or they're not producing enough.
Right.
And
they don't want to encourage it for some reason.
No, I have our niece, who just had a baby in April. She, her doctor basically told her to put him on formula. And I'm like, I told her mother that it was going to create that vicious cycle of he was going to get too fed, he was going to sleep, it was going to tell her body that she doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
And it was going to make her feel like she wasn't producing enough.
Yeah.
And they would just keep going in circles and circles, because there's cluster feedings. There's times where that child needs to be with you and nursing to get that breast milk regulated.
Yeah.
So that your body kind of gets in the routine of giving them what they need.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Isaiah 49:15, where it actually uses it as a curse, as a blessing. Sorry, it says, "Can a woman forget her nursing child, and that she should have no compassion on the son of her womb? Even these may forget, yet I will not forget you."
Oh wow.
So
that's beautiful.
And then Hosea.
You know, I mean, maybe some of that is a curse, a generational curse of some sort. You know.
Could be.
And who's to say that generational curses might be part hereditary? You know what I mean?
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, like Hosea 9:14, it uses it as the subtitle that's on this chapter is "The Lord will punish Israel," and there's a part in it that says, "Give them, O Lord, what will you give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts."
Wow.
And that was I was pretty shocked to see that and read that. I'm like, I didn't even think of. You think of the womb, but you don't think of breastfeeding as a blessing.
Right.
And so, but like I said, these days it's just so much misinformation is given to people, so they feel like they can't. It's not that they can't, it's just they're kind of set up to fail.
Yeah.
And if the right information was given to them, women would breastfeed and no problem.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of what I've learned.
Yeah. Is breastfeeding in public still an issue for some folks?
Not here in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was so scared with my third, Sarah. I was so scared nursing her in public because I had seen videos on Facebook of people like verbally harassed, mothers harassed just for nursing in the store. And I was so scared that was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma law has protection for mothers, and they are able to nurse publicly in any public spot, any public place that they are legally able to be there.
Yeah.
So, but everybody, mothers that I've seen, and I haven't noticed anything. I haven't.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty lenient. I mean.
Yeah.
So thankfully, other states may be worse, but
Yeah.
here in Oklahoma, at least it's not so bad.
Right, and I love Oklahoma for those reasons.
Yeah.
You know, the beautiful state. Did you let's see, how did I word this? Did you have a difficult time with any of your babies latching on?
Noah would not ever latch. My second born would never latch. It wasn't until later on that I kind of realized why, and it was after Seth, my fourth one. When I actually found out the reason why. There's he had tongue ties and cheek ties, stuff that would restrict him from being able to latch on the right way.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he I had him checked out and by I think it was a dentist, but pediatricians can do it too for up to a certain age.
Yeah.
But I had him checked and she got it fixed, and he was fine after that.
Yeah. So under the tongue is called tongue tied, and what was the ones on the side?
Cheek ties.
Cheek ties.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind if you're having trouble with that. And that was my next thing was what helped.
Yeah, I had to get it, basically had to get them cut. Laser cut, which doesn't hurt the baby or nothing like that, but just laser cut, and then we'd use coconut oil to kind of stretch them to make so they wouldn't grow back.
Yeah.
And he was a champ after that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder once they're older, honestly. Then it's a lot more painful and difficult.
Yeah, I had my two oldest boys got theirs fixed, and they had to have stitches on them.
Oh, wow.
So it didn't hurt them so much, but they had to have stitches just to so I wouldn't have to keep my finger in their mouth and stretch it on exercises and stuff. But I know Noah had the issue, so she saw it. She's like, well, one of them he ripped playing probably. He broke it, but he had other ones, and so that's something I've learned. That's something I've learned is definitely, if they're not latching right, have cheek, tongue, lip ties checked.
Yeah.
And make sure that they're.
Yeah, definitely keep that in mind. That's really interesting. I never knew that. Yeah. Is there a local chapter of the Little Leech League or club, whatever they call it, nearby here?
They do have an Oklahoma chapter here. They have a website for it. I don't know much about them, but because I never reached out to them or anything.
Right.
But they definitely have an international one, I know, and then they have for Oklahoma they have one. Yeah. They have a local Oklahoma one.
Have you experienced hospital and home births?
Oh, yes, I have. I've experienced both. I have 4 children. Isaac is my oldest, and he is 8 years old. When we first got pregnant, I wanted him to be born water birth. I wanted to do all the things, stuff. But unfortunately, I listened to a family member who basically expressed her concerns that I couldn't do it because I was overweight.
Oh, no.
And so I ended up going with a doctor, just a regular OBGYN, and she didn't like me from the get-go, so it was kind of like the cards were set, it was set against me from the get-go. But it was after the May 20th tornado and more, I had gone in because my blood pressure was high. Yeah. So I had him, the birth center basically just put me and tried to induce me, but of course I was 35 weeks, so I wasn't going to be induced much, and it wasn't going to work. So they basically just pushed me into a C-section for that.
Wow.
And he ended up having to stay in the NICU for 10 days,
Oh,
got
wow.
transferred to another hospital, and I had to be separated from him.
Oh.
And then as soon as they let me go, I got to go down to the hospital, and I basically stayed there during the days, and then I had to go home, and every day I went home, I cried on my way home.
Yeah.
And then my husband would take me back up there when he'd have to go to work, and I'd stay all day long with him
Yeah,
again.
because you couldn't drive when you have a C-section.
Nope.
They don't want you to do that for a while.
No.
Yeah.
So,
Which
yeah.
would you recommend?
I would recommend home birth. Personally,
Yeah.
I would recommend home birth. My second, I tried to go, I tried to go to like the next best option would have been VBAC option, and the doctor I had chosen, who was supposed to be a VBAC friendly doctor, she kind of let me believe that everything was gonna go great and all, and when they had put me in the hospital about 39 weeks or so, and they said that they didn't really tell me what was wrong with him, and I don't think there was anything wrong with him, but I went in and they induced me, and I got to like a 6, and got water broken, all that other stuff, lovely stuff.
Yeah.
And got the epidural, and I was immediately a 7, but they had sent a team of student doctors in, and basically just told me that I was going to go home with a dead baby
Oh,
because of
goodness.
because of my weight and the uterine rupture. They wouldn't be able to tell, and that's basically what they did. I wasn't budging. They left. I wasn't budging. My mom was just like, that doesn't sound right, and they said they kept coming in and going, well, his heartbeat's dropping during contractions, and my mom was like, that's what it does. But as long as it comes right back up, which it was.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay. And they're like, well, if it keeps doing it, we're just going to put it to a C-section. And they came back a little bit later. I wasn't budging. Everything was fine. And
Yeah.
they basically pushed me to a C-section. I didn't know what to do, so I just kind of agreed with it and went on. Sarah, I decided I was going to go with a midwife this time.
Yeah.
I was going to do, because I found out that Noah's doctor was more just just push her into a C-section. And so she
right.
really wasn't, she made me believe. My husband said, like, she just made you believe it the entire time.
Yeah.
There was the other agenda there.
Yeah.
No, Sarah, I was going to go with this. I was going to go with a midwife. I was going to do things differently. And I found one who was going to work with me and didn't care about my weight, didn't nothing.
Yeah.
And I got to 42 weeks, and she kind of failed on me. She just kind of like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. There was
42 weeks.
42 weeks. There was 2 other ladies I know who were actually due after me.
Yeah.
And mine had come and gone. My due date had come and gone, and those women had actually had their babies.
Yeah.
And so she was still waiting on me. And she kept telling me that she was going on vacation after me. I was the last baby. But
Wow.
so deep down, I feel like it was more, she wanted her vacation and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she just didn't really want to wait. So
Oh.
I got pushed into into the hospital, and
Last minute. Oh.
and she basically just told me, like, in there waiting with me, like, you're gonna go back for a C-section. I don't really see the need to stay here with you. And it was almost 1:00 in the morning, and my husband was in the waiting room because he thought that the midwife should go in
Yeah.
with me because she knew my pregnancy,
Yes.
and she had known the doctors there and stuff too, so she knew them. But she just kind of, she left, and it wasn't until like the next evening that she finally showed up, and I felt abandoned, and
Yeah.
I was like, this is not, and I had such hard, like, postpartum was bad because Sarah wasn't nursing. I didn't know what was going on. I tried to reach out, and she gave me a name. I called the lady, and she was just like, well, just tell me over the phone. And I really needed somebody there to show me how to do this.
Physically. That's how I learned too, is show me how to do this.
Yeah. And so I just kind of, once again, I felt abandoned. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give up. She's just going to get a bottle. I don't know what to do. And no one's helping me. And I guess I'm just a failure at this. I don't know, like, I'm a failure at giving birth. I'm a failure at breastfeeding. And I remember my parents were over one day, and my mom was just like, you know what? Why don't you just go back there and try one more time? Try one more time.
Yeah.
I went back there, and she nursed, and she didn't go back to the bottle. And to this day, I thank God because
Good job, Mama.
He fixed it, and
he did.
That was like a little part of my healing, of like God fixed this part and showed me, no, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. And I nursed her all the way until 16 months old, right before I got pregnant with my fourth. And that was a total God thing.
Yeah.
But it was just the healing I needed just from that. Just a little bit of healing, like saying, you can do this.
Yes.
And so when I got pregnant with fourth, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to find a midwife that is in the same faith as me. And maybe things will turn out differently. But I'm going to try this again. And I found somebody, and she was wonderful. She educated me and gave me the stuff I needed, and showed me that, vaginal birth after several cesareans you can do that. And the muscles that were cut, it's like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
They rip muscles, and then it grows back 10 times, billions, whatever, stronger.
Right.
And that's just like the muscles down there.
That's the nature of it.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not going to rupture as much as they want to always harping about. And and I had a full year in between each of my children to heal. And so I just didn't think anything of it anymore. I was just like, no, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. And so everything was going great. He was our mystery baby, because we didn't know if it was a boy or girl. We were just like, you know what, we're just going to be surprised.
Yeah.
And
that's what I did too. And I was very excited with what I got. I had planned them out, and I love you, Joe and Sam.
Yeah. So 40 weeks comes, 41 weeks comes, 42 weeks comes, still no sign of baby. 43 weeks comes, and I have friends going, okay, what can we do to get this started?
This labor.
Can we do this? And my midwife did not want them to do anything. Just to, don't do any oils, don't do anything like that. So I just patiently waited, as patiently as I could possibly wait.
Yes.
And
at that point, you feel like you were pregnant forever.
Oh yeah.
Once you have it, it's like, seems like wasn't bad, but that time.
Those last few weeks are so hard.
Yeah.
And 43 weeks came, and I remember going to a Bible study. It was on a Wednesday, and it was a mom Bible study. And so I was like, nope, I'm still pregnant. I'm still coming. And one of my friends finally did like a massage on my feet, and then gave me some red raspberry leaf tea, and gave me some dates. And I remember going home with my kids, and I sat down, I drank some tea, I ate some dates, and just,
Yeah.
And later that evening, like about 10 o'clock, I had started having contractions, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna wake my husband up. This is just gonna fizzle out again. I'm not even gonna time him. It'll just make me mad. So I just waited, and then I couldn't sleep because I was thinking, well, what if you're actually going into labor?
Yeah.
And so I just decided, I'm like, I'm just gonna go sit in the living room and watch some TV. And a little bit later, I basically called my mom and said, yeah, you need to come. And then that morning, I called my midwife and was like, you need to come. And I actually went into labor. I was 10 o'clock it was, but I had him at 43 weeks and 5 days.
Yeah.
And I labored all at home all day that day.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting transferred to the hospital because his hand was like stuck up to the side of his head. didn't know why. It could be an umbilical cord issue. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But he was under stress, and so I ended up getting transferred over to the hospital by my decision, because I was like, me and Scott's decision. We were like, what are we gonna do? Do we want to? Because the midwife was like, well, we can try this if you want. But I was pretty much done. I'd been hours of active labor, like back to back to back, and I was pretty much done. I'm like, we need to go. We need to go. Just get me there.
Yeah.
And they did. And I just I was so completely out of it. And nurses and doctors weren't listening to my midwife. They weren't listening to my husband. They were trying to ask me, and I was all in this pain and couldn't do it. So I basically got put back into a C-section, and I remember laying there after they gave me that epidural. remember laying there while they were prepping me, and I was like crying to God, like, I'm so sorry that I could not do this. That I just gave up. And
but you had a beautiful son.
I had, yes. And people keep saying that, it's like, you have, like, what should matter is the baby, but the mom matters too. The mom, the mom and the way that you birth matter.
Yeah.
It's and because if the mom gets neglected, or you have the trauma that affects the bond with the child, or could affect the bond with the child.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened with my first, is that I just kind of had this distance. It didn't last long, but it was this distance of, I don't want to take care of you, I don't.
Oh yeah,
and
the postpartum kicks in, and that is horrible.
It was horrible, and I didn't tell anybody because I didn't know.
Right.
I was just more like, these thoughts of just really horrible thoughts are coming in my head, and I'm like, I don't like this. And so because I was so distant, I didn't get to see him right after birth. I got to see him, but then they took him away, and I didn't get to hold him.
Yeah,
until
and that
2
bonding
days
is
later.
supposed to be very important. From the studies I read, sometimes that causes the postpartum depression by not having that bonding time together.
Yep.
What a shame.
So it was just, I tried it 4 different ways that I could go, and it was just, but God has taught me something through each and every single one.
Yeah.
Like, you can breastfeed. You can, you need to stand up for yourself, for one.
Yes.
You need to educate yourself. You can breastfeed, and you can go into labor on your own.
Yes.
So he has taught me something through each and every single one.
You accomplished so much. That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the positives of both of those, the hospital and
the hospital? The positives, if it's a life and death situation, that it's an actual life and death situation.
Yeah. I
am thankful for the doctors who know how to do cesareans.
Right.
That know how to get a child out very quickly. So, but those are so misused so often that those very few and far between rare occasions that is desperately needed. Yeah. You don't even know about those small percentages of them. Yeah. Because it's just normal. Right. Normal to do it. Normal to schedule your cesarean. Yeah. And convenient.
We're living in a drive-through microwave society. Where we could just schedule this in. Yeah. And it means the difference between like $5,000 and $50,000, to them. So it's worth it for them to push for that. And there has been a huge increase. So ask a lot of questions and be involved and be a director of your own health, and that's exactly what you've learned.
Yep. Yeah. And the more the chance of having a cesarean is, there's a higher chance for your child to go to the NICU, which is more money that they get. I think Isaac's was in the 60,000s for the 10 days he was in NICU. Wow. And it was just outrageous. Yeah. Totally outrageous. Yeah. And they just kept wanting to keep him too. They didn't want me. And I worked, and my mom worked. My mom went out and bought like newborn bottle nipples because they were trying to give him a standard nipple in this bottle, and he would work so hard trying to get the formula out, or the breast milk formula, but that he would fall asleep.
Oh, yeah,
And
he
so
was
my
exhausted.
mom was like, I'm gonna go to the store, we're gonna buy the newborn, we're gonna buy the preemie ones,
Yes.
that it's easier for him to get it out, because they were like, well, we're not sending
Why
him
would
home.
not a hospital have that?
I don't know. They just wouldn't send him home until he finished a certain amount of feedings
Yeah.
in order. Like
Right.
if he messed up, they wanted to start all over again.
Wow.
And that poor baby, I kept singing "Jesus Loves Me" to him over and over, trying to keep him awake and to finish the bottle so we could get discharged to go home.
Oh, I love that.
So.
So, and is there scripture for circumcising male babies?
Yes, there is. There's that support it, absolutely. In Genesis 17:12, it says, "He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male throughout your generations, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring. Both he and who is born in your house." Read that again. "Both he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money shall surely be circumcised."
Wow.
So
Good.
they're like Genesis 21:4, showing that Abraham circumcised his son when he was 8 days old, and Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God has commanded him. And then Leviticus 12:3, "And on the 8th day, the flesh of the foreskin shall be circumcised."
Wow.
So
with that 8 day, that's something very important. Like they've done
Yep.
studies on that, where the body will naturally clot
Yep.
sooner
The vitamin-
on an 8th day. So even science is backing that up.
oh yeah, the vitamin K actually peaks on day 8,
Wow.
and anything before then, the baby could actually could bleed to death.
Wow.
It's fully formed, and it's not fully formed until about the 5th to 7th day. But what I found was very interesting was there's a second clotting factor, and it's called prothrombin. I'm probably butchering that, but it develops. What I thought was interesting is it develops 30% at day 3, and then it jumps up to 110% on day 8 before dropping back down to 100%.
Wow.
So God was God was not stupid when He created
No,
us. He knew
He's the
exactly
creator.
what needed to be done.
That's right. He is. He's the creator. Did staff always cooperate with the 8 day circumcision? Because you had 3 boys and 1 girl.
Nope. They all. When I had Seth, when I had my number 4, I remember asking I wonder if they'll let me just bring him back on day 8 or
Right.
something, or
Yeah.
a doctor or something. And I had somebody tell me, I don't think they're going to let you. So I had already been up in arms with my with my 4th, because they had put him in the NICU for overnight because he had meconium in the water, and they thought maybe he ingested it or something, which he didn't. So he was doing great and all, but they were all up in arms about me doing the Hep B shot for him.
Yeah.
And I kept telling them no, and my midwife told him no, and my husband said no, and they were basically giving me a ultimatum, like, you have to have it. And they wouldn't wait on my blood work.
Yeah.
They took my blood, but they wouldn't wait till morning. So I got in some heated arguments with the NICU people, and basically just told them, listen, my child is not a prostitute. My child is not a druggie.
Yeah.
And Hep B there's
Yeah.
no need for that.
Yeah.
And you can wait until get my blood work back. And they're, well, that's a precaution. We can only do it so many hours. They were just fighting me tooth and nail, and I felt like God was saying, don't do this.
Yeah.
Don't do this.
Yeah.
So I was going to naturally ask about the vitamin K shot. And I was like, well, do they have, because at the time I didn't know. I was like, do they have to have the vitamin K shot in order to be circumcised?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, wait, you didn't want the vitamin K shot either? They already gave it to him. And what most people don't realize is the vitamin K shot has a black box warning on it.
Yeah.
The risk of death.
Yes.
And you need to make that decision about your family if that's a risk you're willing to take.
Yeah.
They actually give it to children, like little girls too. And I
Wow.
don't understand why they give it to little girls, because I thought it was just for the circumcision thing.
Yeah.
But they gave it to Sarah too, and I didn't know. I thought it was an oral thing. I didn't know it was like a shot or anything, or what was wrong. And
Yeah.
but I was just like, okay, well, I guess let's get him done, because I didn't know who to go to.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I wanted so much to do the 8th day, but I did not know where to go. And I'm
Right.
like, God, if this baby's a boy, you're gonna have to kind of make a way,
Yeah.
because I don't know what to do, and I can't afford going out of state to have somebody do it.
Yeah.
And so I felt at peace about just having it done, and God kept all my babies safe from that.
Yes.
Because I did not know, or they had gone behind my back and done it.
Yeah.
So no, they don't work with you at the 8-day thing. You know,
Yeah.
maybe regular pediatricians might.
Right.
So it's always good to check with them and do
Plan ahead,
lots of
maybe.
questions and stuff if that's
Mhm.
what you're gonna do.
Have your pediatrician picked out.
Yep.
While being pregnant.
Yep.
And go in, do an appointment with them, discuss those manners, and you
Yep.
know, figure those things out. It may take a few appointments too, and that's okay, because we're doing it God's will, not theirs and not ours, but God's will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what would you change in the current situation with hospitals and home births?
What I would change, hospitals, I would change the failure to wait. They're not very patient. When your water breaks, they give you a time. You're on time limit,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not always good. I mean, because you need to wait. You need to, like, just because you don't need to be like, well, if 10 minutes or 10 hours go by and you don't make any progress or make enough progress like we think you should.
Yeah.
Then
they break the water.
Then they break the water. Well, even after when they break the water, they give you like a certain amount of time.
Right.
And if they don't, and if you don't make what the progress that they say you should have made,
Yeah.
then they just want to shove you into the cesarean.
Yeah.
And say it's a risk to baby and stuff. I think the constant checks and that is what introduces bacteria and causes issues to go awry.
Right.
But I would definitely change doctors and their failure to wait on women, and the constant pushes on the cesareans.
Yeah.
If they just kind of were more patient with them and like let them get up and walk around more, let them eat,
Yeah.
because that's a big issue, that they don't let you eat,
Yeah.
and they let you have ice chips, and that's about it. And
Yeah.
your body needs the energy
Yes, it
to
does.
push that baby out.
Yes.
So you need to have, like, my midwife gave me peanut butter. I remember I did not want peanut butter,
Yeah.
but she made me take a spoonful of peanut butter.
Yeah.
And but I totally understand why,
Yeah.
because it's like if you're not eating, you're like starving, and then your body might play into that
Yeah.
and want to shut down and go and then stall because you're just tired and you have no more energy
Yeah.
to do anything. But if you're eating good foods
Right.
and keeping yourself hydrated and fed,
Yeah.
that your body will get the energy it needs to do
Right.
the rest.
Right. And when I heard that, I said, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I think they started that because of, situations where,
Anesthesia and stuff like that, they don't want you to be or to end up throwing up or something when you're on the table or something, and
mm-hmm.
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted.
What
to.
they told me was that I could possibly use the bathroom on people,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
And so they did enemas back in my day to make sure, and then you weren't allowed to eat for a certain period of time beforehand. That was 30 years ago though, folks, so 33 years, almost 34 years ago. So things have changed a little, it sounds like.
Yep.
But it takes time, it really does.
Yeah.
So will you and Scott be planning another baby?
The plan is yes. We are just gonna leave that in God's hands. But my husband, he comes from a family of just him and his sister.
Yeah.
And I come from a family of very many children.
Right.
Very many
I do too.
children. So I always said this, like from when Scott and I got together in all 2010, that I just want as many kids as God will give me.
Yes.
And I love, because my sister-in-law, I've heard her say that, and it reminds me of like what I had said.
Yes.
And I'm going, that's exactly how I felt. It's like, just give me, you know me, give me as many as you want to give me.
Yeah.
And you'll quit me for it.
Yeah.
And so I said that, but Scott, my husband, was just kind of like, he's not used to this many kids.
Yeah.
But even he is wanting another.
Yeah.
Even he wants another, and he wants a girl.
Yeah.
He wants a girly bad, and I'm just like, I would have never thought of you wanting another girl, because the girl scared him.
Yeah.
But our daughter, who's now 4, it's just melted his heart. Like,
yeah.
he
She
loves
does.
her.
Yeah.
And so he just thinks, like, she needs a girl. She needs a sister. She needs somebody. All these boys in this house, she needs somebody. So yeah, after I had Seth, my midwife had said that she, because there was a traumatic birth before me of a girl that I was in conversation with, and then my birth was somewhat traumatic as well. That she said that she wasn't gonna be a midwife anymore.
Yeah.
And I know that I know it was traumatic and stuff, but but she said she was going to come back and help me again if I did it, but I didn't know if that was true or not.
Right.
I come from a background of people telling me stuff and then not following through. So
Right.
I was just like, I do not want to have to go through the cesarean again, because I don't have anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, if I go to a provider, they're not going to work with me.
Yeah.
I've had 4 cesareans. They're not going to work with me. And
Which is another thing that should be changed.
yeah.
If anybody's watching and has that ability to do that.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, Scott had said he was done at the time. He said, I'm done. And so I just felt like, as a wife, I didn't have the right to tell him we need to have more or whatever. Right. So he made the decision to get a vasectomy done. And so we were like, okay, well, we'll do that. A little bit later, I found out I was upset with him. Like, deep down, it came out that I was like, I just felt like you took that away from me, and I didn't feel like I should say something to you, because
right.
I can't pressure you into having more children.
Yeah.
And he tells me, like, well, if you would have said something, I would have walked out of that office. And it was so, for us, it was just a total miscommunication.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other, because we were like, oh, we'll get a reversal done, we'll just get the reversible kind done. And the doctor told us in the office, like, I don't trust those, so we don't do those. And so we were like already there. Yeah. And we had already paid the money for it. And yeah. So we were just like, okay, well, I guess we're in it, then we're doing it. Right. And then we started, my son is 2 next week, so it was about a year and a half ago he got it done. And so we basically came back, we were like, talking about it recently, and I'm like, with all these pregnant ladies at church, it brought up more of my trauma and more of my of what God is leading, what I feel like he's leading me to. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, well, do we want to have more? And then I was told by a friend of somebody to go to that was within our budget. Yeah. Because we had checked and we're like, they wanted $5,300 to do it. And so this other option, and the fact that he prayed before this procedure, it really spoke to us, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna do this. And so he had it reversed, and we're just kind of leaving it up to God. So and we also, like, we had seen a teaching from it was like the unlearn Tuesday night questions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about, and they mentioned something that said something about cutting off blessings when you do stuff like that. And I was just, I had felt like so convicted, like we just played God. We just cut it off. And it for us, I'm not saying for anybody else, if that's where God is leading you, absolutely.
Yeah.
But for us, I felt like we had stepped in and done something out of fear.
Yeah.
Because out of fear, because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And on top of finding out some unhealthy stuff for him, and I'm like, well, this is just unhealthy for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this until it was already done.
Yeah.
And so I feel like God maybe used that to have my body heal, be able to nurse my son, because my son is almost 2 and I'm trying to wean him.
Yeah.
He's doing okay, but so it's my first time actually weaning a child myself, and not by them.
Gosh, 2 years. It doesn't. That time has flown by, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Wow. I remember when I was making his first set of zeets.
Yep. Yep. And he still has those too.
Good.
So
good.
So we'll just see what God has in store. And yeah, we'll just see what God has in store.
Yeah, yeah. So what is a doula? Some people have not heard that term yet.
A doula, I found out what a doula is like after Isaac's birth. I went to like a mommy convention, and I had passed a table where there was a couple ladies there, and my mom was with me, and she was just like, they kind of just talking to me about it, and I was like, man, my mom was like, I wish she would have had that, this is what she would have needed.
Yeah.
A doula is somebody who's there with you throughout the pregnancy for support, moral support.
Yeah.
Information, but they're there also to stand up for your rights.
Oh, as an
your
advocate.
rights as an advocate. So, so that doctors can't, especially in that time where you're very vulnerable to just, I'll take the epidural or I'll do this. They kind of remind you, well, this is not what you wanted, and encouraging you to
think it
go,
through.
to think it through and to go back to what you really wanted, what you stated you really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that moment of weakness, you're just ready to throw in the towel and be done.
Yeah.
And so that's what I believe a doula is. That's what I've seen from other women.
Yeah.
And
and they're there through the birth.
And they're there through the birth, and they're there to postpartum. There to help you.
Yeah.
And get things, back to your normal.
So that it's centered. Mommy is the center for the doula.
Yes.
Where the midwife and the pediatrician, they're for the baby.
Baby. Yeah.
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 I love that.
Yeah.
Don't you? We all need a doula.
Yeah.
Whether we're pregnant or not, we need that kind of support. So which type of birth will you choose, do you think?
I will choose a home birth,
Yeah.
an unassisted birth.
Mm-hmm.
It will not have anybody there besides my mom and maybe some women in the congregation for moral support who have been there, because biblically that's what happened with women, is that when they had a baby, it was the other women in the community that came to help, that took care of them afterward.
That is beautiful.
And that was reminded to me about one of my midwives had told me that, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like the mom was focused on, you bond with that baby.
Yeah.
You get the milk coming and all that other stuff.
Right.
So I told my mom, I said, I'm just going to do this. I feel like God has shown me, like, listen, you've gone every certain way that you possibly could go.
Yeah.
You went to a doctor. You went to a VBAC friendly doctor. You went to a regular midwife. You went to a midwife in the faith.
Yeah.
And every single one of them has failed you in one way or another. 3 of them were failure to wait.
Yeah.
One was kind of not so much failure to wait, but a failure like of trust afterward. You found out that there were some things that was said that kind of resembled that they didn't trust you or they didn't believe in you.
Right.
So it was more like a failure to wait type
And
or
I'm sure-
failure to trust, like believing in me
Right.
kind of thing. And that's what it came across as. I don't think that's what it was meant to be, but
Yeah.
that's what it came across as. So God was showing me, like, you've tried this 4 different ways.
Yeah.
When are you going to trust me?
Wow.
Like, stop putting your trust in man.
Yeah.
Put your trust in me.
Yeah.
So what I told is God's going to be my midwife.
Yeah.
God's going to be the one who has done it. He has showed me certain
Wow.
things through every single birth and now I feel like I realized what I had done wrong in my 4th baby birth. And I now realize, like, this is what you should have done.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going to be leaving it up to me. And it's scary. No saying, it is scary. Like,
Yeah,
I
you don't
keep
have to be
thinking,
going to him all the time for comfort.
I
and
keep
strength.
thinking, like, but what if something bad happens?
You can always
But
change your
it's
mind,
not. Yeah, but it's more like the fear is gonna try to hold on to you.
Yes.
But where are you gonna trust God? Are you gonna put your faith in God?
Yeah.
Even in something as life or death as this, it could be.
Yeah.
And I'm tired of being let down, and so it's all, it reminds me of The Chosen. Like, my mom brought this up to me the other day, and it's just great. There's an episode where Yeshua is talking to Jesse in the Bethsaida pool and stuff, and he's saying, all you need is me. So
pick up your mat and walk.
Yep. And like, how many times Jesse tried everything he could.
Yeah.
And humanly possible.
Yeah.
And Yeshua's like, you just need me.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Right.
And that's where I'm at right now. I feel
Wow.
like it's a testimony in 9 years of the making.
Yeah.
And 9 years, it feels like, it does not feel that much, but 9 years.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to say that I could be totally wrong. And be like, well, that's not what God is trying to teach me. But I'm human. It could be. But I think that's where God is leading me.
Yeah.
I think that is where God's leading me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's going to be all for His glory. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and that's what we do things for, is for His glory.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Is staff understanding on personal preferences of vaccines?
You got to find the right type of people, because some are but a lot of them are not.
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking about hospital, they're not. Most of them are not.
Yeah.
They're going to try to bully you. I have been bullied several times. I've been bullied at physician's office. I've been bullied at hospitals. I've had people come in going, why are you not doing it? And I'm just like, because I'm just not. I'll sign the paper. I like of declining it.
Yeah.
But you have to be very careful about what papers you sign.
Yeah.
Because some of them can make you, they can be incriminating to you.
Yeah.
By saying, like, they can put it in as, I know I'm harming my child doing this. So you have to pay attention to what they're handing you to sign.
Oh my goodness.
Because then they could use that to turn around and turn you into CPS and get some big issues going.
Oh.
So always, if you're going to sign a paper like that, always read it before signing it. And if it says anything like that, don't sign it. Just tell them I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
That's incriminating me. I'm not doing that. That is not what I believe.
Yeah.
But they are pushy. They are definitely pushy. That's why I'm home birth all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any additional comments or questions that I've overlooked maybe?
Not that I can tell.
Yeah.
No, everything, pretty much everything.
We covered it, huh?
We covered it, yeah.
All right. All right. Would you be willing to come back for another show of some sort?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. This is exciting, isn't it, folks? So, I had several sheets here on this. So, I just want to thank everyone for coming and enjoy God's journey. Talk about technical difficulties.